What's good, everyone? This is Misfit, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Phasing Issues, a podcast about the art and science of music production. Today, I have a very special guest, one of my favorite producers out there. His mixes are immaculate, his sound design is crazy. So please, round of applause for Bossfight.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you, thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining me today. So
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
you're based in Sweden, right?
Yeah, correct.
Damn. I studied Swedish at the university, so
Oh shit, really?
I have very like basic like level, like
Hell yeah. Okay.
hey humardo.
Oh,
Is it
yeah,
correct?
that's correct. That's a good
Yeah.
one. Nailed it, man.
Yeah, it's very basic. So yeah, no big level here.
Yeah, man.
So we're gonna be
How came you started studying Swedish?
Oh, basically, I wanted to study foreign languages because I love Spanish, English,
Mm,
and like one of the suggestions before I started was I think you should study the language you're most comfortable with which at the time was Spanish, and then a different one, like a let's say odd one, which
yeah,
it's
exactly.
obviously not odd at all, but like it was fun. It was fun.
Oh, I see. Cool,
Um,
cool.
all right. So, like, I think you are one of the most creative based music producers out there. And one of the
Thank
aspects that in your production sticks out to me is not only the sound design, but your loud and clean mix down. So, my first question is how do you achieve that perfect balance between loudness, warm, and clean, especially in the low end?
you. Yeah. This kind of fuels my imposter syndrome because
Oh,
I I feel like my work is pretty messy, but apparently not. Like, yeah, I really appreciate hearing that. Sure, like it means a lot. So thank you.
no
Uh,
worries.
I think like I'm really used to only like using my ears because
Okay.
I work in Reason. I started working in Reason like way back before it even had VST support,
Okay.
and they didn't really have like any visual support. Like you had all EQing, all compression, all that stuff. You had to do it like by ear,
Yeah.
100%. So I think I mostly like rely on that and try to like find those limits where like it gets overwhelming, and I try to push everything so I'm like right beneath that limit. So yeah, whenever things are about to get overwhelming, I tend to keep it there. And yeah.
So I feel that now that Reason like updated and you have the possibilities also through external VSTs to
Mhm.
check the levels like spectrum analyzers, just we have span, we have like a multitude of spectrum analyzers or just like meters in general.
Yeah.
Are there right now for your way of processing and mixing stuff like some levels that you want to always check, some shapes in the spectrum, some like target loudness that you always have to, have everything under control? Or are you
Mhm.
still doing that by ear?
No, no. Nowadays, I rely way more on visual as well. So I do a lot of referencing.
Okay.
Uh, like I tend to have or find tracks that I have like a certain energy in a track, and I try to find another one that I feel is like very well mixed. And I do a lot of A and B
Okay.
comparison, both like on the full spectrum, to get like an average curve or
Okay.
whatever you call it, like a reference curve.
Yeah.
Uh, Recently, I've been doing that a lot with Vision 4X.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
the
I love
noisy
that. Yeah.
analyzer.
Yeah.
That one is
Yeah.
insane. Like,
It's probably
I've
like the
just
most complete, the most like,
yeah,
all-in-one plugin for referencing and metering. It's perfect.
it's crazy good. Like, I'm barely scratching on the surface, but I
Yeah.
like there's so much potential there. And yeah, so I tend to get the curves and match it with multiband and EQing.
Yeah.
And then I do like a lot of the references I have. I tend to split them up in bands. So I check the low end on a specific track and see what's going on there and what
Yeah.
like the dynamic ranges are and
Yeah.
whatnot, like the just the levels. And I try to match everything, like from mids, low mids, and up to the very high range.
Yeah, like how do you go about in general like medium frequencies? Because it's like medium
Mm.
frequencies are generally, either loved because it's just like that they are the frequencies that give you that warm harmonic
Yeah.
feeling, or just, hate it because they can create muddiness in a mix? So how do you go about medium frequencies? Do you like them? Do you prefer to remove them? Or
No,
just like,
I'm definitely belong to the camp who likes them. Like,
yeah, same,
I think there's so much detail in there.
same.
It can get messy, like,
Yeah.
but I really want that detail, so I tend to keep it there, and sometimes even boost it, like whenever it's needed. So yeah, and I feels like if you are too like sub frequency focused, you tend to lose a lot of information.
Oh yeah.
Especially because not everyone has like this super neat studio setup when they're
Exactly.
listening. They can be on their phone speaker. Like you gotta
Exactly.
have those a bit
Exactly.
higher range. So yeah, I try to put emphasis on those.
Yeah. If this like remind me that like when I'm mentoring other artists or producers, I always like tell them to, check their low frequencies and see if their sub bass has more than the fundamental harmonic. So just like the
Yeah,
second
yeah,
harmonic and the third one, because of the same
that's
thing
so
you said,
important.
the compatibility to other devices like phone speakers. It's so important and it's
Yeah,
fundamental for a quality mix. So yeah.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, you got yeah, like that's something I've been experimenting a lot with recently. Actually, the like the upper harmonics,
Yeah,
even not even like octaves, like even the fifths. I tend to include those as well sometimes, like just
absolutely.
bump it a bit just to get
Yeah.
that almost kind of power chord feeling in
Yeah,
the low end. It's
exactly.
really neat actually. It
Yeah, because
makes a ton of difference.
I feel that with by doing so, you on one hand achieve like richness, like harmonic
Mm.
richness, and on the other, you also achieve presence in the mix itself. So I think it's very smart to do so. And yeah, in general, so I'm glad to hear that you are a fan of medium frequencies and harmonics
Yeah,
because like
likewise.
yeah. So basically, I guess that like if you want to have medium frequency presence in a mix, you of course have to give up a bit of loudness, of like laughs at the end of the mix. So I
Mm.
guess that like what is right now your target laughs for a final mix down and master, of course.
Around like -3 maybe.
Okay, so
For like,
loud, very much
yeah,
loud.
pretty
Nice,
loud, yeah. And
nice.
it actually kind of where like I almost all of my like basically all my releases are on Monster Cat, and
Yeah,
like when we're talking together about my masters and stuff, that's usually where we end up. Like we feel like that's a kind of sweet spot,
yeah.
line around -3. So yeah, that's usually my target.
There's a funny story because like 2 years ago, I was with Going Quantum at Monster Cat House in LA, and I was
Oh, you
showing,
were?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was showing them my music, and he was like vibing to a track, and he was like, I think you should like push the master a bit more. And to put a reference, he brought up one of your tracks. It was an unreleased track. I cannot remember which track it was, but I was like, yeah, I might actually have to push it a bit
Oh
more.
shit.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
that's
cool,
actually one
cool.
of the first like moments I actually started to appreciate not only your music, it's your music only, but also like the way you mix and master the songs, because I
Okay,
feel
cool.
that like mixing and mastering are not just like a separate stages of production, or just like as creative as the arrangement, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
For sure. Like, yeah, it's an expression of its own. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you can tell a lot, like, or whatever you. Yeah, it's
absolutely.
like it's a big part of the story or whatever. For sure.
Absolutely. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, my third question is like related to the first two, and it's like regarding compression and saturation, because like those are
Yeah.
the classic go-to tools to push the song, like in terms of like loudness and presence. So, but like the thing is that if you do them wrong, you can completely ruin the mix,
Oh
like
yeah.
from 50 back to zero. So, do you have any tips on how to use and how to not overuse those, like parallel processing, group processing?
Yeah. Like once again, I tend to focus on just listening. Like whenever I tend to like focus on the signs of overuse of these effects. Like whenever you can kind of like lose harmonics sometimes when you overuse it,
Yeah,
or like the main character of a sound can easily get lost when you especially when you're distorting.
yeah,
And you can just feel like when a sound is overwhelming, or you get to learn it by like by working with this.
I feel that.
So I just tend to like focus on that and try to make those decisions. Like, is this too intense? Did I just like ruin the character of the sound or the mix?
And also, like, do you actually like are a fan of the classic compression saturation in the main input, or do you happen to use a lot of like parallel processing just to have, you know, the dry and the wet signal and then try to balance them together? How do you go about that?
I tend to do like the parallel processing like within whenever there's a dry wet knob on the effect.
Yeah,
I tend to dabble with that one. So
okay, nice.
Sometimes I'm 100% and sometimes I just have like a 10% whatever if I just want to add something like a minor detail or whatever.
Nice.
So it varies a lot, like depending on what type of sound it is. Like they all need their special treatment. So,
absolutely. And now I have a flash question. Are you a fan or not a fan of OTT?
I'm a huge fan, actually.
Huge fan? Nice. Nice.
I like just add so much fullness and like can bring out so many cool artifacts and details. So especially on like bass design, or whenever you have like a weird sample or whatever, I like 99% of the time I slam an OTT on there, like just to see what happens. Yeah. But then I like do some adjustments afterwards, like EQing and whatnot, like just to tame it. But yeah, there's a lot of OTT going on.
And what is your like go-to like percentage at like which you want to have OTT? Because I generally have it at like 10%. Like, what about you?
Yeah,
are you pushing it like a bit more?
It varies a lot. Like sometimes it can be cool to like fucking just go wild and go 100, but most of the time I'm around there as well, like max 50 max probably.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then I like mess around a bit with the upwards and downwards, like depending on what type of treatment the sound needs. Like and I tend to keep it's not called released or release. I mean, like you have the
time.
Time. That one. The time. Yeah, exactly. I always keep that on 0. Like I don't know. It just brings a cool flavor to it.
Yeah, I feel also like as you said, OTT can be a nice sound design tool more than actually just like a compressor.
Yeah,
because I feel
sure,
very much powerful. So like now that you mentioned like one of your go-to compressors, do you want to share with us like some of your go-to like distortion plugins?
Hell yeah. And don't use like straight up distortion that much. I tend to use the one from Kilohertz.
Okay, the saturation, like the saturation,
the distortion
that you have saturation, overdrive, sine, and I think it's like the Kilohertz one.
Exactly. Okay. That one. So mostly for like sound designing, when working with basses, just to add like harmonics.
Yeah.
Mess around with that a bit. But for saturation, I use the saturation knob by Softtube.
Wait, is it the free one?
I'm not sure actually. I've had it in recent for like so many years. I don't know. They have it like a rack extension for Reason, but I know there's a VST as well. But I don't know if it's a free one or not.
Wait, how is it called?
Softtube saturation knob.
Softtube saturation. I'm pretty sure I've heard of it. I gotta check it. Absolutely.
It's pretty neat. Like especially, that varies a lot. But personally, I'm very like, I want results like instantly, and so I can just throw it in there and just crank it. And there's like one other dial where you can adjust if you want to like maintain like the low, mids, or highs, so it distorts like different sections of the sound depending on which one you choose. That one is cool. And when I want to do something more detailed, I tend to use Saturn from
FabFilter. I love it.
Yeah, that one is like everything from FabFilter. I swear by that.
That is true. Crazy. That is true. Like the whole bundle is just insane.
Yes,
just insane.
it's basically perfect. Like it's low on CPU and super precise, and like the visual representation is always crazy good.
Immaculate. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So good.
are you? I believe that you are more of a fan of doing like everything, almost everything within the mixing field, or are you actually sometimes a fan also of having like a quiet mix and then crank it on the master channel?
100% the opposite. Like I have it loud from the get-go.
Same.
I always have a G clip on, and what do you call it? The limiter from Filter.
Pro L2,
Pro
I
L,
think.
yeah.
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 Or I'll just
So I have
yeah.
those like I'm not like boosting anything. I just have them there to like keep everything down.
Yeah.
So the levels tend to get pretty high, like in the mixer.
Yeah, sure.
But I just want to work with it like it's feels like to get a sense of the final result.
Yeah.
Which means when I have to do like the final mixing, then I just turn everything down, bypass like everything on the master, and then just go through like group by group, track by track, and everything. If there's anything that like pops out, I just trim it down and
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
That's
redo the mixing.
literally the same way I do my
Cool.
mixing and mastering. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So like I actually wanted to this question. I always ask this question to every guest I'm having.
Okay, cool.
And so what is, in your opinion, your best song when it comes to final mixdown, or just like for like the balance or the loudness? What would you say is your best mixed song yet?
Yeah, right now I think it's the Pit actually.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I was kind of lucky with that one. Like everything just fell in place. It's loud and it's aggressive, but it's clear at the same time. Like it's not exhausting to listen to, but yeah, it still maintains that loudness.
Yeah.
I don't know like why that one turned out that way, and all of my other tracks don't. Like, not that I'm not happy with my other mixes, but I think that one stands out quite a bit.
Yeah, I love the one.
Sounds tight. Yeah.
And also like, so you mentioned before about, having a reference either like on the project or just like when you're mixing everything down. So are you, I would love for you to mention like either one of your like most frequent references that you have, or just like a song from any genre that you consider just like perfect for the combination of loudness.
That one's easy.
Is it gonna be noisier, right?
Actually not. It's Space Laces. It's
okay. I mean, okay,
yeah,
that makes
same
sense.
thing, right?
Yeah.
It's Rumble.
Okay.
Rumble by Space Laces and Excision. Like that makes it just fucking perfect. Like in every sense.
Yeah.
It just hits so fucking hard. Like the kick and the snare is so wild, and there's just like every sound has such a great presence, but it's not overwhelming. Like everything has its space, but it's super coherent at the same time. Like to me it's like the perfect mix.
Yeah. Also
really. So
I have this feeling of, those big artists not having actually crazy secret, but just like a almost perfect knowledge of like the frequency spectrum and how frequency responds. So I would say that of course I would love to actually have a peek at Space Lace's project, just to there's like so much to learn, but I also have this feeling that it's more the knowledge of the artist than the tool they're using.
100%. I feel you. Like I used to think like there was like this secret formula, whatever, but
or the magic plugin,
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's just skills. They could do that shit with whatever. Like it's just the experience and the talent. Like
absolutely.
Unfortunately. No, but it's so cool. Like it's such a motivation to
absolutely. Also, it's important to have those tracks from those artists as the reference, because like there is always room for improvement, and it's important to like set the bar as high as possible to improve day by day, mix by mix. And dude, I feel you 100%, dude. It's actually do you actually have something you want to share with us before like wrapping everything up, like any important things that might be coming out soon, or just like some news?
Oh, not really actually. Like currently I'm just like I released pretty frequently this year. Like I had
Yeah.
a good setup of tracks. So now I'm just building up the next one, and I'm gonna try
Okay.
to like just churn out tracks throughout the next year. But like not right now, there's nothing solid going actually. Like I'm just trying to
So you're
some
in
new shit.
full writing mode right now, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
nice, nice. Yeah,
Yep.
dude, I'm actually so stoked for your end of the year and 2024. And yeah, dude,
Thank you.
it's been super nice to have you here.
Yeah,
And yeah,
likewise.
thank you so much for joining me today.
Of
And
course.
yeah, dude,
Thank you
again,
for having me.
another round of applause for Bossfight. Thank you again, man.
Thank you, man. It's been
All
great.
right. Thank you guys for joining me and for joining us. And I'll see you guys soon with some more news. And thank you for sticking around. Peace.
Peace.